Hello everyone, and a very warm welcome to you all present here today. My name is Chiu, and today I'm with Ms. Carol as she will be discussing managing discipline and misconduct. If you have any question regarding today's topic, do leave them in the comment section down below, and Ms. Carol will answer them right after she finishes presenting. Without further ado, I will pass the mic to Ms. Carol.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here today on this wonderful afternoon. All right, today we are going to be discussing managing discipline and misconduct. All right, we will take about 45 minutes to 1 hour to share with you about this topic and how to manage discipline and misconduct. All right, so I am Carol Anthony. I've been in HR field for more than 25 years. So one of my role in one of the company, I've worked in several companies before. One of the role was as an industrial relations head of department. Okay, so I manage a lot of disciplinary cases, and I have been to manage cases in the industrial courts and at the labor department. All right. So here I would like to share some experience that I've went through, some cases that I've seen, and how I manage them. All right. So let's get started. All right. So basically, this is what we'll go through in this short webinar. Of course, when it comes to managing misconduct, we can have trainings for many days. It can go up to even 4 days or 5 days, or sometimes it's 2 days or 1 day. So today we are only going to get a glimpse of this subject because it's only 1 hour, but I'm going to give you some important points for you to take note, and then preferably you can implement some of the ideas in your organization. All right. First off, we start with what is discipline. Then what leads to disciplinary issues, types of misconduct, measure to address disciplinary issue, the process, consequences, and what can you do in your organization. All right. So remember, at the end of the session, you may ask me questions, then I'll be available to address them. All right. So first, discipline. What is discipline? Discipline is a set of actions imposed by an organization on its employees for failure to follow the set rules, regulations, and policies. Okay. Of course, you need to have these rules and regulations. Then they don't adhere to it, then only it becomes a disciplinary issue. Right. So what leads to disciplinary issues? Some of it you already know. Okay, some of these I've stated here, maybe you have not heard of it. So let me just share briefly with you. First of all, at the beginning stage itself, failure at selection and interview process. So before the employee even steps into your organization, there is an interview process. So sometimes we do get bad apples, all right? We do hire people based on maybe their paper qualifications, or during the interview, they are so impressive when they talk to you. But then we fail to recognize or evaluate their behavior and attitude. And then once you employ them, it shows up, okay, in the form of disciplinary problems. All right. Second, poor or no orientation process. So once the employee comes in, what do we do? Not only HR, supervisors or manager of the department also need to be involved. We need to give them an orientation. Orientation will include rules, regulations, policies of the company. You have to inform them. Otherwise, they don't know what you want them to do. Okay, what are the rules? All right, so sometimes it is done in companies, sometimes it's poor. That's why I put here poor or no orientation. The poor orientation, maybe there is orientation, but it's not adequate. Instead of explaining, maybe your rules and regulations have 10 pages, maybe you only explain 2 pages. The other 8, you said go and read it yourself. Okay, so that's poor orientation process. Next, number 3, poorly defined rules, regulations, and policies. What does it mean? Meaning you do have all this, but it's not defined properly. It's not clear. Okay, first of all, maybe it's too vague. You don't give details about your rules, regulations. Second, it could be language barrier. Okay, some companies, they may have their rules, regulations in English, but your employees, most of them, maybe they are not proficient in English. They need another language for them to understand. So it's good to have, if you know your demographics of your employee, if they are not really proficient in English, provide another translated rules, regulation, and policies. For example, if in Malaysia, we can have Malay in Bahasa Malaysia, the policies, regulations, so that they understand. But if you, let's say you employ foreign workers, example from Bangladesh, okay? So if you give them, yeah, they do speak English, most of them, but if you, or they speak Malay, but if you give them these rules and regulation policies in English or Malay, they may not fully understand everything because that's not their common language, okay? So you need to think about it, what to do. You need to maybe bring in a translator to translate all these rules, regulations to them in their own language, all right? Otherwise, they don't understand. They will do whatever they like, and then you are constantly taking disciplinary action. All right. Number 4, inefficient supervisors, managers. What does it mean? So your supervisors and managers may not be implementing or following the rules and regulations themselves. So when you hire an employee, they look at the supervisor and the manager in charge doing certain things which is against the rules. So they follow suit. For example, coming to work late. Okay. So let's say the manager constantly, you're supposed to start work at 9, but the manager every day comes in at 9:30. So what does the employee do? At first, in the beginning, he will come at 9. So later on, he may come at 9:10, 9:15, because he knows his superior won't be in until 9:30. So he will make sure he reaches before 9:30 so that the superior thinks he's been there since 9. Okay? All right. Next, number 5, inadequate or absent disciplinary action. Okay, again, coming back to the example I gave on late coming, right? So 5 relates to that, condonation, meaning, okay, the employee has been coming 9:20, 9:15, and the manager failed to check the attendance record. Or the manager checked and then didn't bother, didn't take any action. So meaning he condoned the action. Condone means he allowed. So what will happen? Another employee will do the same. So in the long run, maybe there's 10 employees in the department, all 10 will be coming late for work. Okay, so these are some of the factors that can lead to disciplinary issues. So of course, the employee is at fault whenever there's a discipline problem. But this, what I've explained here, is the environment that an organization creates to enable the disciplinary issues to take effect. All right, let's move on to the next one. Okay, so disciplinary issues or misconduct, we can call it misconduct. There are 2 types of misconduct. There's minor and then major. All right, so this one, earlier we come back to the slide again. Number 3, look at number 3, poorly defined rules, regulation, and policies. Whenever I was in an organization or if I'm doing any training, I advise my participants, always have rules and regulation policies to include misconduct, which is minor and major, need to separate them. Okay, so minor, you need to identify what are the minor misconduct. Major, identify what are they. And then because the action that you're going to take for these two misconduct should be different. It cannot be the same. All right. So minor and major also depends on the industry or company or the job scope of the employee. Okay. For one company, one issue can be minor, but for another company, the same issue can be a major issue. So let me give you an example. A security guard. Okay, security guard works for a company to guard the company. Let's say it's a factory. Okay, so he's put outside the factory to guard the factory at the gate so that there's no one coming in to maybe steal or rob the place. All right, steal something from the factory. So he should be alert at all times. Maybe he starts work at 9 p.m. until the following day morning 9 a.m. or even during daytime 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Okay, whichever it is. So the guard, let's say one day he sleeps on the job. Instead of being alert and standing and looking out, he sleeps for a while. Maybe it's about 5-10 minutes. Because he was too tired, he slept. All right. So in this case, think about it. Would it be minor or major misconduct? Okay, sleeping on the job. For this job scope, it will be considered major misconduct. Why? Because even if he sleeps for 5 minutes, there could be someone watching him and then they can enter the premise, or they could tie him up, they could shoot him. There's so many things that can happen within 5 to 10 minutes. So he could compromise the safety and security of the factory. All right, so this becomes a major misconduct. So contrast that with another example. In the factory, there's a clerk working there. Okay, the clerk works from 9 to 5 p.m. So the clerk's job is to type documents and then print out, do filing, photostating and all that. So the clerk also was tired one of the days and dozed off. Okay, slept maybe for 5 or 10 minutes. Sleeping on the job. So would it be minor or major misconduct? Okay, so it depends on the workload again. So for me, I would say it's minor. All right, some companies may say it's major, but if it's 5 or 10 minutes, maybe they took a lunch break 1 to 2, decided to sleep, and then 2 o'clock didn't wake up on time, woke up only at 2:10. All right, so I would say it's a minor misconduct because the clerk sleeping does not jeopardize the safety or security of the factory. The worst come to worst, he or she didn't prepare some documents on time. That's all. All right. So that is why type of misconduct, minor and major, you can separate them, but it depends on your industry, on your company, and the job scope of the person itself. So you need to determine this very clearly. All right. Let's move on to the next one. So, employee indiscipline. Earlier I mentioned about sleeping on the job. So what else can happen? Inefficiency. Of course, they are inefficient in their job. Okay, they cannot complete some tasks on time because they are having disciplinary issues. Maybe their second is absenteeism. All right, they may become absent. Lack of productivity. Okay, productivity is affected. Unhealthy or unsafe work environment. Okay, if they don't have discipline to maybe, let's say a cleaner, after production is completed at 5 p.m., the cleaner is supposed to clean the floor. Maybe the floor is dirty or there's oil spill or anything. So if the cleaner doesn't do the job properly, it becomes an unsafe work environment, right? What else? Increased costs. Indiscipline leads to increased costs because you need to spend time to discipline the worker. and then the disciplined worker may not produce, or the productivity may not be efficient. So in the end, there's increased cost. Poor behavior, of course. Okay, indiscipline leads to poor behavior. They are doing all these disciplinary issues, it shows in their behavior. So work cannot be, ultimately the work is affected. All right. So these are only some of the issue I mentioned. There's lots more we can input. Okay, employee indiscipline leads to a lot more problems. All right. Let's move on. Okay, two measures we can, now we're coming to the how to manage misconduct. We can take two measures to address disciplinary problems. First is preventive measures. Second is corrective measures. Preventive means you prevent the problem from happening. Okay, corrective means discipline problem already happened, misconduct is done, and then you need to take some action. Right? So first we'll look at corrective action. So for corrective action, this is the, in a nutshell, discipline process to take. First, you need to ensure there is fair and just disciplinary process by having this. So earlier I mentioned this as well, clear rules and regulations. Secondly, systematic disciplinary process. Okay, what does it mean? Systematic means earlier, let's go back to the same case, sleeping on the job. Okay, when someone sleep on the job, if the company says it's a minor misconduct, you should have a set of disciplinary process that you would take for this case. All right, so that is called systematic. In bracket, I put established database of cases. This is for you to have a reference for you and your management, for HR, those who are in HR and management, to have a reference of database of cases. Let's say there were 5 incidents of sleeping on the job. So you need to create a database, okay? So one section, the topic, the title will be minor misconduct, sleeping on the job, all right? And then list down who are the people, which date, and what action were taken. Why we are having this? Because we want to ensure that all action taken is the same, similar to the other person. We don't want to have like one person we issue a warning letter, another person we just issue a reminder letter. Meaning one is more severe, warning, another one just a reminder letter. So that creates inconsistency. So to address that, have a database. Then you can refer, and then management asks you also, you can show, okay, for the past 5 misconduct cases, this is what we did. So the next one, the 6th one, we are going to do the similar one, right? Appeal process, number 3. This one I would recommend. So whatever cases, disciplinary action you take, have an avenue for the employee to appeal. Meaning you're going to issue a letter. The letter should be done by HR ideally, all right? So the HR superior will be either a HR director or even a managing director or CEO. So the appeal process, the employee can be allowed to appeal to the MD or CEO, all right? Let's say a warning was issued, or even, example, suspension was issued to them. Okay, you're suspended from work for 1 week. So let the employee have the avenue to appeal, to say to the management or CEO, to say that, can you give me suspension just for 2 days? Can I come back the 3rd day because I would like to come and work? I've changed. I've realized I've been bad and all that. Okay, all right. So give them a process where they can appeal. Right. So this where it comes in here, I've put in bold. Principles of natural justice must be applied. So natural justice is used in the courts. When they examine any case goes to them, they want to see whether there's what we call natural justice. Meaning whatever disciplinary action you take, you must be fair to the employee, give the employee chance to explain themselves, and then one more thing is provide an appeal process, right? So basically this is the, in short, discipline process. Now let's go to the what can we do. So this is the corrective steps we can take. So there's a lot here, so we'll just go very fast on this, okay? So each disciplinary action is unique and may require different intervention. All right. So disciplinary action based on misconduct. Okay. Some are unique. Okay. There can be theft of items in the example. Theft of item from your office. Okay. One person maybe stole 10 pens. Another person maybe stole a computer. Right. So those who stole pen and computer, the disciplinary action should be different because the value of the product they stole is different, right? So your action, although it's a major misconduct, theft, but the value of the product is different. So the action for the person who stole the computer should be more severe than the one who stole the 10 pens. Okay, so that is what we mean by that. Okay, let's look at this one by one quickly. So first is, I always recommend verbal, either reminder or warning. Meaning, if it's a minor misconduct, okay, let's see he stole 2 pens. Okay, I'm just giving you an example, 2 pens. Or he was late for work. Maybe he was late for 2 times a week, 2 days in 1 week, all right? So what you can do is call up the employee and give a verbal reminder. So you can say in your contract letter, it's stated that you're supposed to work from 9 to 5. So we are expected to commence work at 9 o'clock. But on 2 days this week, you've been coming at 9:15 a.m. So I would like to give you a reminder, or you can say give you a warning to say that in future, please adhere to the time. Come to work by 9 o'clock. You must start work at 9. So this is a verbal reminder. Call up the person, talk face to face, and give either a reminder or warning. Depends on the severity of the case. Like reminder, 2 days late for work, I would say reminder. If warning, maybe you came to work late 2 days, reminder already given, and then he repeat again. Repeat next week, again late for another 2 or 3 days. So then you call up, you say you're giving verbal warning because it's a repeated offense. All right. So verbal reminder, warning, although it's verbal, what I do is still document it. Okay. I would advise to have a form. The top of the form, you can write verbal reminder, verbal warning, and then state the date, time, the employee name, and what was informed to the employee. And what did the employee say? And then sign, file it in his personal file. So this is for record purpose, right? But it's not going to give to the employee because it's supposed to be verbal. Okay, the record is for your own record purpose. So next time you flip his file, you say, I've given him the verbal warning. And then now he still come to work late. Again, he's repeating. Then you know you need to issue him a actual warning letter. All right, so this is for you to build up the case as well. So same goes for reminder and warning. These are letters. So for minor issues, you issue reminder letter. More grave issues is warning letter. All right. Show cause is, or in Malay call it surat tunjuk sebab. Show cause letter is for some offense or misconduct that you are not sure that it really happened or how it happened. Was it the employee's fault? You're not sure. Okay. You heard about it or you saw it, but you're not sure whether the employee is the person who did it. Okay, then you issue a show cause letter to the employee to ask them to reply to you to tell you whether they really did the misconduct. If no, ask them to explain what happened. Were they there or were they not there? And they can explain to you. All right. So show cause letter you can give ideally is about 3 working days for them to reply. And then once you get the reply, if they admit their mistake, then you issue a warning letter. If they don't admit their mistake, you can do 2 things. Either you accept, say, okay, it's not your mistake, fine. Then you issue them a letter, okay, we understand, thank you for your explanation. The case is closed, all right? Or you can do, you don't believe him, okay? So you think he did it, but he doesn't want to admit, right? So now you go on to the next step, which is called the domestic inquiry. So domestic inquiry will take a long time. It's a long process. It's like a mini court case that you have in your office, in your organization, without the presence of lawyer, of course. Okay. Then you need to inquire in details, get witnesses if possible, to establish a case. All right. So this is a long process. I'm not going to explain to you now. This one will be in another training session. All right. Okay. Next we can also do suspension. So usually after domestic inquiry, then only we do suspension. Okay. Suspension meaning if let's say it's a part of, you can do 2 ways suspension. First suspension is with pay while you're investigating the case before the domestic inquiry. So you don't want the employee to be there to mess up the investigation process. So you give a suspension but with pay. After domestic inquiry, you confirm that he's the culprit, okay? He or she is the one who did the misconduct. Then one part of the disciplinary process, you can suspend the employee up to 2 weeks without pay. Then 2 weeks without pay, then they can come back to work. So you can say suspend for 3 days, 1 week, maximum is 2 weeks. So again, depends on the severity of the misconduct. If the misconduct is grave, is very severe, then you give the maximum 2 weeks. Otherwise, you can say you're suspended just 3 days, come back to work on the 4th day. All right. Same with demotion. This one should be done after domestic inquiry. Demotion means, let's say the person is now a supervisor or maybe officer level, and then you demote him to clerical level, clerk or assistant level, right? The other things that you can do here I've stated here, counseling. Okay, counseling can be part of the disciplinary process, meaning after you've issued all these reminders, warning, show cause, domestic inquiry, the employee may be not motivated to work anymore, maybe feeling guilty or maybe depressed or whatever. So you can offer counseling to the employee, okay, so that they can come back to normal and start being productive, right? Next one is PIP, short form for Performance Improvement Plan. So when a performance is lacking or slowing down or not meeting the so-called KPI, key performance indicator, then you can issue a performance improvement plan to outline what they need to improve on and within how long. Usually you will put 3 to 6 months, right? So this can be one of the process. Next, what you can do, freeze of promotion, transfer, increment, bonus for a specified period of time. Remember just now I said have a database of all the misconduct. So in that database, you can put down, okay, if let's say those who are sleeping on the job, you said next year, no bonus. So make sure that another 4% who did the same thing also no bonus. So you can indicate this, all right? You can say no bonus for 2023. Maybe 2024 onwards, you can give them. So you can indicate for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, depends again on the severity of the misconduct. All right. Lastly, termination. Okay. Again, this should be done after domestic inquiry. Termination is a major misconduct done by the employee. You got no choice, you cannot keep the employee anymore, then you terminate. And the last one, you report to the authorities. When should you report to authorities and who are the authorities? So some cases are major, like theft. That's why I say theft of computer. You can report to the police. All right, they can be remanded and locked up in the jail as well because it's theft. Theft of pen, maybe you don't have to report to the police. Okay, you can just issue warning, or you can say, okay, you can't work here anymore, we are terminating you. Otherwise, we'll keep losing pens. Okay, right? So termination also, reporting to the authorities also, you need to see the severity. Like example, if there's safety issues involved, then you need to report to DOSH, DOSH, Department of Occupational Safety and Health. Then they will come and investigate who caused the safety issue in the company. All right. So police, DOSH, and if it's a foreign worker who did any offense, then you need to report to the immigration. All right. So you need to weigh in to see which case you need to report, which one you can take action by yourself. All right. Let's move on. Right. So who should get involved in discipline issues? So discipline process, discipline issues, of course, is always fall back on HR. So everything pushed to HR. Although HR is the person who must take the lead, all right, the supervisor and manager should be involved as well. Otherwise, the HR take action, issue letter, and then the person will go back to the department to work. Nobody monitor them, or nobody knows what action has been taken. So that shouldn't be the way. Okay, supervisor, manager should be involved in all the processes. Like when you give verbal warning, call them, the employee face to face, involve the supervisor or manager. All right, then they know, okay, what you have told them, and then they also know, oh, my manager also knows. Otherwise, they think only HR like to attack me. HR is being petty. Then the manager, they are very good friends. Then they keep repeating the same offense. All right, it will happen. So if you don't involve the supervisor, manager, it will keep repeating. So involve them because it's their duty to manage the employees, including their discipline issues. So HR is there to guide them, to assist them, to make sure how to do the process correctly. All right. Okay, next. So document. I put 3 times. This is very important. Let's now come back to the verbal warning, right? Remember I said even verbal warning, document it. Write it down. Okay. So here I means present. Let's say now you're talking to the employee, you call them in. Present now, you're giving verbal warning or even a warning letter that is present. You need to have the letter, document it. When it was given, you write it down there, what time was given, right? And who was present. The manager or supervisor must be present. Huh? Not this. Again, they will say, oh, HR simply issue warning. Past. What about past? Past means you must have all the record of their past discipline issues as well. So when present, you're giving the warning, you must look back what other discipline issues the person had. Because then it becomes more severe. If the person, let's say, absent for 3 or 4 times, and then you issue 3 or 4 verbal warnings, and then now you need to look back and say, okay, I've given you enough verbal warnings. Now it become a major misconduct. I'm giving you a warning letter. So that's why the past documents is very important to look at so that you know what action to take now, present. Okay. Then lastly, we come to future. Future is what are you going to do next? Okay. So once you issue warning letter or reminder, that's not the end of it. You don't close the book. You need to monitor the employee future and tell them what is expected of them. Okay, let's say they stole the pens, right, from the department. So future, you must tell them what is their expectation. I give you 2 pens. I want to make sure that 2 pens are on the table every day, whenever before you leave the company, example. So future, what is the expectation? Tell them and then document it as well. So that in future, when the future comes, let's say 2 months, 3 months down the road, then you can check, this is what I told you to do. Why hasn't been happening? Why isn't it happening? All right. So document what you want the future to happen. What is the expectation from the employee, or what is the solution required from them? Okay, for sleeping on the job, how are they going to do in the future? What are they going to do? How are you going to monitor them? Maybe you put a CCTV to monitor them, or you can have an alarm clock for them, something. Okay, record it down. Future, what are you going to do? How the employee going to do? Ask them. To prevent you from sleeping in the future, what are you going to do? We don't only take action now. We are also going to take action from it for the future, so that it doesn't happen again. Ask them, what is the action plan, right? So this is what I mean here, document. Action plan also, document it. Then later you can ask them, this is what you said you will do. You put an alarm clock at 2 o'clock after lunch so that you can wake up on time. So did you do it? All right. Okay, let's move on. So that is the talk about all the disciplinary issues, very briefly. Now we come to poor performance. Just now I did mention about PIP, right? Okay. So is poor performance a misconduct? Could we lump it into misconduct? Poor performance, okay, I give you an example. The person, one clerk is asked to type 2 letters in 30 minutes, example. Okay, but he managed to type only 1 letter. In the past, he could type even 2 or 3 letters within 30 minutes. But now he can only type 1 letter. So that is considered poor performance. He used to do it, now he cannot do it. Okay, that is poor performance. So can it be a misconduct? No, usually this one is no. Unless they purposely go slow. There's a term, go slow. Usually union members do this. They call it go slow. Instead of production running for 5 hours, they can complete the task at 5 hours. They make it go slow. 5 hours also cannot complete the task. That is called go slow. Purposely they do it. Then it's misconduct. But this one, the performance has decreased. Poor performer. So it's not a misconduct. So what you can issue as PIP again, all right? Tell them, okay, this is what your expectation. In 30 minutes, I want you to prepare 2 letters. That is your KPI. For the next 3 months, I'm going to monitor you. All right? So poor performance can be just performance issue or can be misconduct as well. There's 2 ways, 2 ways. All right, let's go to the next one. So what are the consequences of taking disciplinary action? There are negative consequences and positive consequences. So just very briefly, there are more you can add. Okay, so negative is grievance. Grievance means they are not happy. Okay, they've been given a warning letter, they feel demotivated, then they may be complaining to their colleagues, they may be dragging their feet. So a lot of things can happen. Resignation, some may resign. Okay, they are not happy with how it was handled. All right. Next is lawsuit. This is the worst part. Okay, lawsuit, meaning they go to the Industrial Relations Department and file a case saying that they have been treated wrongly. They can go to Labor Department, file a case, or if it's severe that the employer has terminated them, then they will go to the Industrial Relations Department to file a lawsuit. All right, then you'll have to go up and down court to prove your case. Right. Next is creation of toxic environment. Of course, all these grievance, resignation, lawsuits, all not good for the environment of the organization. All right, people will feel not good that somebody is suing the company. The company must have done something wrong. The HR is no good. The manager is bad. All these will come into play. They will think of all these things. So overall, it will be a toxic environment. Even resignation, too many resignation can lead to toxic environment. Right? So what are the positive things? Of course, there are positives. Right? So improve behavior. Some employees, they change. Okay, I was wrong. I've been coming to work late. So from now on, okay, I'll come on time. Right? Increase productivity. Some may say, okay, let me work harder now. So I won't do the same mistake I've done before. HR or my manager has reminded me. Okay. Improve organization culture. So overall, the culture also changes. So everyone is happy, they are motivated, they are productive. Okay. In the end, there's a good environment. All right. So there's two sides of the coin. Some discipline action is negative, some are positive. So it depends on the misconduct which happened, the severity, and the frequency, number of people doing misconduct. All these will affect. Okay, we're coming to the last slide. So these are briefly, we come to the last slide. So we've looked at all the corrective action. Once misconduct happens, what it should do, what are the consequences, why it happens, and all this. So now we move on to preventive action, which is the most important one. Okay, so you prevent a misconduct from happening in the first place. How do you do that? There's few things here I mentioned. First is orientation. Remember, I talked about it. Orientation is very important. And inform the employee what are the rules, regulations in place, what you can do, what you cannot do. Have a grievance procedure in place. Very important. If they have any grievances, guide them where to go and talk, who to talk to. Not all run to HR. First instance, they run to HR. That's not a good grievance procedure. Okay, there should be a different process. Stay interviews. Stay interviews are interview you conduct with an employee already hired. Okay, then you conduct an interview to find out, okay, are they happy in their current work? What are their problems? What is the good things they like about the company? You find out. You have a casual chat with them, and then you get some information for your own improvement, for organization to improve. Right? Exit interview. Whenever someone resigns, do what we call an exit interview to find out why they are resigning. Okay, then you may be able to correct some of the things that are going wrong in the company. Improve hiring process. Just now I mentioned hiring process. Look out for candidates. Maybe have some tests for them, behavioral tests, have some tasks for them to do to find out how motivated are they to really do the work. Then you find out whether they are the ideal candidate for the job. Learning and development, or in other words, training, especially for supervisors and managers. Sometimes supervisors and managers are the problem, who create the problem that the employee is not happy, then they conduct disciplinary issues. They are sometimes absent because they don't like the manager, or the manager themselves coming to work late. If I say they themselves come late, I also come late. Okay, so that's why training, not for the employee, for the supervisor, manager, is very important. Lastly, communicate expectations. Tell the employee, I expect you to be here at 9 a.m. every day. I expect you to complete this letter in 30 minutes, 2 letters in 30 minutes. Communicate. Most of the organizations, they don't do this. They don't do this, then the employee commit misconduct, then they will tell, oh, come running to HR. It happened to me many times. Okay. So I will ask the manager or supervisor, what did you tell the employee? Did you tell them exactly what need to be done? No. It's in the job description. Job description maybe is about 10 points given to them. Nobody explained to them what it is about. Okay, no KPI. And then the employee don't follow, they say, oh, he has disciplinary problems. So that's not the right approach. Okay. Communicate expectations is very important. All right, we go to the last conclusion, last slide, before we go to Q&A. So this one, managing discipline and misconduct should be ideally handled by HR together with immediate supervisor and manager. Okay, this is what I said. Principle of natural justice should be applied. Number 2. 3, prevention is better than cure. So try to prevent misconduct from happening. Lastly, before taking disciplinary action, think of the consequences first. All right, what will happen? So that you take the right disciplinary action. Okay, thank you. That concludes my webinar session for today. Now we shall open the floor to Q&A. All right, there's one question here. Do beating someone due to bursting out of anger is a major wrong, and what can we do to avoid this kind of situation where our colleagues or boss might trigger our anger? Wow, okay. Reminds me of the latest issue. I don't know whether you all heard. Will Smith slapping someone. All right. Okay. So beating someone, yes. Beating is violence. Okay. It's an act of violence against another person, but because you're inflicting pain to another person, is a major misconduct. Okay. So this should be, you need to take severe disciplinary action, including maybe if it's a major beating, in terms of broken bones or blood, then you need to call the authorities, police. You need to report to the police. But if it's maybe a slap or a punch doesn't lead to major damage, then you can take disciplinary action. But in this case, if it's too violent, I would recommend do a domestic inquiry and termination. Okay. So if it's a minor one, then you can issue warning letter to say that in future you do it again, then you will be terminated. All right. It is a major misconduct. Nobody should. It's an assault. Can be a police case. Even a slap we can report to the police. All right. Okay. Hopefully that answers your question, Sinta. Okay, next question. If a company does not hold a domestic inquiry but terminates an employee for misconduct, how will this affect their case if the employee lodges a complaint of unfair dismissal? All right. So it's most likely the employee will win. Okay. This is very dangerous. When you want to terminate an employee, always do domestic inquiry. Okay. Even if the employee is dangerous, like I mentioned, you don't want the employee to be in the company, you suspend, but with pay. Suspend while you're investigating and then do a domestic inquiry. If they go to the case, file a case, most likely the employer will lose. And then you will have to pay a very hefty compensation. There's two things industrial court will say. Either you compensate the employee through how many months, the maximum can be 24 months salary, or they will say reinstate, meaning you take them back to work for you. Two things the industrial court will decide. So if you don't want to take them back to work, reinstatement, then you need to pay the fine. All right. Okay, next question. What would your suggestion be if an employee consistently finds reason not to attend a disciplinary hearing? Oh, okay. Disciplinary hearing, if consistently do not attend, yes, you can proceed without them. So you can give them notice. Of course, you need to give them at least a week notice, or sometimes 3 days prior. You issue a letter, okay, this is the date, time. We want to have an inquiry. or hearing. So if they don't show up, you can proceed without them because they are not showing up to defend themselves. What else can we do? All right. Hope that clarifies your question. Okay, next question. In what circumstances can an employer terminate an employee immediately? Okay, immediately, meaning if there's a danger or threat to the life of someone, or maybe the person stole something from your company and then you report the police come and apprehend them. Okay, so still do a domestic inquiry, still do a show cause letter. I would still recommend don't do immediately. Still do a show cause letter, domestic, give to them, ask them to explain, do a domestic inquiry for documentation purpose. That's now I put that document. Still have some documentation. So I wouldn't advise to terminate immediately. If they are danger, just suspend them. Even if they are caught by police, okay, police will do their own investigation. All right. So it doesn't mean if they are caught by police, doesn't mean that they are guilty. They are guilty only if they are brought into the court and the judge says they are guilty. Okay. So until then, you cannot actually terminate them. So you need to do your own investigation, follow all the procedure before terminating. All right. Next question. I would like to ask, okay, staff informed that she has to take MC due to headache. I informed the staff to give the hard copy MC within 2 days from the MC date. Is it correct way? Okay. So if they are taking medical leave, all right. So again, coming back to your policy of the company. So in your rules and regulation policy, it should be stated, okay, if you're on medical leave, you need to notify. Previously in my company, we used to do that. You need to notify your immediate superior within maybe 30 minutes. Let's say you're supposed to report to work from at 9 o'clock and then you got a medical leave. So within 9 to 9:30, you need to notify your immediate superior that you're sick and you won't be coming to work, but you are going to the doctor. Okay. So after you go to the clinic or the doctors, and then they produce a medical certificate for you, they can immediately send it to you. No need to wait for 2 days, actually. They can immediately send a copy to you. All right. Otherwise, if let's say they take 2 days medical leave, you can give them chance. Okay, you come back to work immediately in the morning, 9 o'clock, you report to work, 9 o'clock, go and give the medical certificate. All right. So it means they actually, sometimes it's not genuine. That's why they drag their feet. They are hoping that you forget that they were on medical leave. Okay, it happens. All right, next question. Any action can be taken to staff who are very problematic to other staffs due to their own personal issues, like jealous and envy seeing a new staff progressing further than that problematic staff, okay? Basically causing peacelessness in workplace, okay? Depends on what they are doing, okay? So here the question is not clear. They are jealous, that envy, jealousy, it happens in the workplace, but what actions are they doing? So you need to address and clarify what are they actually doing and whether it's a misconduct or not, minor misconduct or major misconduct. Then you take action. So if you haven't specified this as a misconduct, then it's difficult for you to take action because you didn't tell them in your rules and regulations, right? So come back to this, you need to specify what is the staff doing actually. Maybe you can explain further here. We still have a few more minutes to go. Any other questions? Okay, continuation from there. Like triggering others to a fight and spoil their own reputation. Okay, meaning the person is gossiping maybe and asking others to fight, spoil their reputation. Okay, it's just by talking. Okay, if they are doing this talking during working hours, then what you can do is, meaning they are doing all this talking, gossiping and all that during working hours, meaning they are not working right during that hour. So what you can do is issue a reminder to the person to say that you're supposed to be working at this time and you have this KPI to reach. Okay, KPI example, just now I said for a clerk, I said one example, prepare 2 letters in 30 minutes. Okay, so example, so you have that KPI. Now because you are going around talking and all this, you cannot reach your KPI, so I'm giving you a reminder so you can do that. So for others are fighting is their fault. She just talking to them why the others want to fight. So those who fight, you need to issue another reminder to them, why are you fighting? Okay, you need to ask them, why are you fighting? What's wrong with you? Ken, hope that answers your question. Okay, next one. I just joined the new company and the boss told that there was a previous staff who made a mess. Should I still keep their report even though it is not happened within my time? What report are we talking about? Or misconduct report that the current boss issued. Okay. Any document in a company that we issued to any employee from the date the employee resigned, you should keep it for 7 years. Okay, that's the law. So anything that happened later, anybody can come and ask you for the documents. So usually you should keep it for 7 years. So whatever document after the employee leaves, after the 7 year, then you can shred it. So in the meantime, keep it. If it's medical document, medical information, you should keep it for 30 years. Okay. Right. Other information, 7 years. Okay, as I understand, the staff still can lodge a report within 60 days to JTK. She is being terminated. Yes. She can lodge a report within 60 days of termination to the Labor Department. Yes. So usually termination case for 60 days, I will be highly alert. Okay, we need to be alert. Okay, 60 days, anything can happen. After 60 days, okay, we can pack up the file and keep it in the filing room or in the storeroom somewhere.
Thank you so much for such an insightful presentation on our topic here today, Ms. Carol. Thank
Okay,
you
you're
so much,
welcome.
ladies and gentlemen, for joining our live session here today. But it's not the end. Ms. Carol will having her public training on handling payroll according to Malaysian law plus final tax workshop coming 11 to 14 of April. So if you are interested, you may reach out to us via the email and contact number provided down below in the ticker. Also, please like our Facebook page if you enjoyed today's session and follow us for future live session. Once again, thank you so much for joining us, everyone. We hope to see you soon. Till then, take care and bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.